Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Divya. Welcome to Visual Vibes. In this Python course, I'm gonna teach you everything that you need to learn to start coding with Python. This course doesn't cost you anything, it's totally free for you. But if you would like to help me out, then you can increase its reach by hitting a like button, leave a random comment down below, share, and subscribe to my channel for more videos. Thanks in advance, and I really appreciate it. Without getting any delay, let's jump right in. Today I came up with one more interesting topic in Python that includes decorators. So before I jump in, as like every time, I would like to mention you one thing. If this is your first visit to my channel or if you are new to the Python course, then I would like to recommend you to check out the earlier sessions of this video first and then circle back here for a clear and better understanding as well as to stick to some sequence. So now let's start with decorators. So decorators in Python provides you the way to modify or extend the behavior or functionality of functions or methods without changing its actual code. So, so let's say suppose if we have a function wherein we don't want to change the actual functionality. Instead, if we want to add some extra features to it, or instead if we want to add or extend some functionality for the function, then we can make use of decorators in Python. So this decorator is simply a function which takes another function as an argument to it and finally returns a new function with extra added features along with enhanced functionality. And this decorator function includes a wrapper or nested function inside it. So I can say this decorator is like a wrapper around a function that adds the extra functions to the base function. Like how we have a wrapper on a gift, in the same manner, it acts like a wrapper around a particular function or a base function. And it is often used in scenarios that includes logging. Let's say suppose if we want to automatically log when functions are called, with what parameters and what they return, then we can make use of decorators in logging. And we can use this in authentication. Let's say suppose before allowing users to access a particular function, then we can authenticate a particular user. So for that purpose, we can go with decorators. And finally, memorization. Let's say suppose we want to store the result of a expensive function calls. So they don't run again and again unnecessarily. Then we can go with and then you can make use of decorators in Python for memorization. And it mostly helps in reusing the code across multiple functions. That means we can define a decorator function once, and we can apply that decorator function to many or multiple functions in our code. This lets you define a behavior once and apply it to many functions. And when it comes to syntax, it is usually started with @ symbol followed by the decorator function name. Like whatever the function we are going to define, in order to apply that decorator function to the base function, we need to give that decorator function name above the base function, which we want to apply the decorator. And then decorator with parameters. Like let's say suppose if we want to pass some parameters to the wrapper function, which was inside the decorator function, then we can very well pass those parameters in the form of positional and keyword arguments, like passing star args and keyword args. So the decorator with parameters is simply nothing but it's a decorator that accepts any number of parameters, or arguments. So this is about the decorators and its definition along with the parameters. Now let's see what are the steps that we need to follow while using the decorator in Python along with the example. So here are the 4 steps that we need to follow. First of all, we need to define the decorator function. So in order to apply a decorator to a particular function, first we need to define the decorator function, right? So here, if you can see in this example, I have first defined the decorator function. So what this decorator function will do means, so I have defined the decorator function with this name, decorator underscore function, and this function is taking another function as an argument, which we have already discussed, right? Decorator function is a function that takes another function as an argument. And inside this function, what we have, we should have the wrapper function. And inside this function, whichever we want to add the functionality to the base function, we can very well define it inside the wrapper function. So inside this wrapper function to the base function, I would like to add some extra functionality, like I would like to add some logging before I call this a base function. So here I was giving first of all hello user, and then I was calling the function. And then after the function call also, I would like to add some one more log saying that have a good day. And then I need to return this wrapper function back. So whenever this decorator function is called, it should return the wrapper function back. So this is how we need to define the decorator function. And then after defining the decorator function, the next step that we need to take is define the base function to decorate. So in order to apply this decorator function to the base function, we need the base function, right? So that's why in the 11th line, I have defined the base function like this, which is a greet function that usually logs the message saying that hope you are doing well. So, and then after defining the base function, we need to apply the decorator. So here, where we need to apply the decorator means above the base function, we need to apply the decorator by giving the symbol before the decorator function name. So we have the decorator function name as decorator underscore function. So to this function, we apply the symbol, and then like this, we need to apply the decorator to this base function. And finally, we need to apply the decorated function. We need to call the decorated function. So before we call this decorated function, let me tell you what this means. So we have this syntax like at the rate function decorated function. So what this actually means? So it's actually we are calling the decorator function by passing base function as an argument to it. So that in returns what? So whenever we call this decorator function, what it is returning back? It is returning finally the wrapper function, which is a function, right? So that function we are again storing it in this base function only. Base function that we are again storing it in one variable, which is a which we are defining with the same name as we have as a base function. So so this is actually so beside this behind this syntax, this is a shorthand. So for this, so this is a shorthand to this actual meaning. And finally, we need to call the decorated function. So we have decorated the base function with a decorator function. Now it's time to call the decorated function. What? So decorated function is what here, which is a greet function. So finally we are calling the decorated function. So whenever we call this decorated function, what this means, whenever we call this decorated function, this decorated function will always return the wrapper function, right? So inside the wrapper function, what we are doing, we are printing one statement first, and then we are calling the function, which is a base function, and then we are finally printing a message that includes have a good day. So that's why in the output, first of all, it will print the message saying that hello user, followed by the function call, which is a greet function um, that prints the message such as hope you are doing well, and then finally I'm wrapping up the function with again another statement that includes have a good day. So this is how we need to define a decorator function inside our code, and defining a base function and applying a decorator to a base function, and finally calling the decorator function. So this example is with the no parameters. So here we can see we are not passing any positional or keyword arguments here. Now let's see how we can make use of the decorator along with passing parameters. So here I have taken one use case where here the use case is about, let's just suppose an user wants to order an ice cream. Um, let's suppose we have a number of users, right, in a restaurant. Some users may want to add some sprinkles, or some want to add choco chips on the ice cream, and some people may want add only sprinkles on it, and some people may want to add choco chips on it, and some people may don't want to add any extra toppings on the ice cream, right? So in order to uh, in order to handle that use case in the form of code, so here I have a defined two decorator functions named with add sprinkles, add underscore sprinkles, and then add underscore choco chips. So what this decorator one add sprinkles function will going to have means, so inside this decorator function one, I have again the wrapper function. Like if this wrapper function is necessary inside any decorator function. So inside this decorator function, inside this wrapper function, so this decorator function is taking a function as an argument, and then inside we have a wrapper function, and inside this wrapper function we are passing an arguments, positional and keyword arguments. So positional arguments, so whenever we pass some values while this decorator function is called, that goes into these positional arguments. That means it packs those values into tuple. Let's say suppose while calling this decorator function, if you are passing keyboard arguments, means then that packs into dictionary values that consists of key value pairs. So like this, we can pass any number of positional as well as keyword arguments. So this wrapper function will take the um, arguments inside it so that we can be able to access these positional and keyword arguments inside this wrapper function. So inside this wrapper function, what extra functionality I was adding? I'm logging the one print statement saying that you can add sprinkles now. And then I'm calling the function, actual function, which is a base function. Base function. Here we have the base function, which is an order ice cream. Let's now let's see let's see this base function later. And then I was finally returning back the wrapper function. Now let's see decorate. Now I have defined one more decorator function, which is add choco chips. So in order to add some choco chips on the ice cream, I have defined one more function. So this function is taking is also taking a base function as an argument, and inside it, it's having a one more. It's having a wrapper function that usually takes arguments, positional and keyword arguments, and inside it, what I was doing, I was saying giving the logging one statement saying that you can add choco chips. And then I was calling the base function by passing these arguments. And then I was finally returning wrapper function back. Whenever, whenever this function, this decorator function is called, so it will return the wrapper functions that will print the statement saying that you can add choco chips. So first step is over. Defining decorator functions is over. And what is the next step we have? We need to follow. We need to define base function. So here I have defined the base function in 18th line, which is an order ice cream, wherein I was passing, wherein this function is taking um, one parameter, which is a flavor. And inside this base function, I was printing one statement saying that here is your flavored ice cream. So in place of flavored ice cream, whenever we call this function, flavor will be replaced. So this is how I have defined the base function. And the third step is applying the decorators to this base function. So we have two decorators here. One is add sprinkles and another one is add choco chips. So I have added finally these two decorators to this base function by defining it like this at the rate and followed by the first decorator function name and then followed by at the rate uh, followed by second decorator function name, which is add choco chips. So three steps we have completed. What is the final step? The final step is we need to call the decorated function. So we have already decorated the base function with the decorator functions. Now we need to call the decorated function. So here the decorated function is ordered ice cream. Order ice cream. So I was calling this function along with passing parameter, passing argument, which is having the value as a chocolate, which is a flavor. So I was calling this function. So whenever I call this decorated function, so we have it returns the it finally returns the wrapper function. So initially we have the function decorated function as add sprinkles. So first of all, this function will be called, and then it finally returns the wrapper. So whenever it returns the wrapper, whenever we are calling this order decorated function by passing this parameter, it's finally returning the wrapper function. So whenever we are calling, whenever that wrapper function is called, it will bring this you can add sprinkles statement first of all. After it's done, we are adding one more decorator to the base function, which is add choco chips. So this function, whenever this function is called, so it's again returning the wrapper function back. So this wrapper function back. So whenever we call this decorated function, uh, so here the wrapper function is being called, and then it returns the statement. You can add choco chips to it, and finally we are executing. Finally, um, finally, this decorated whenever this decorated function is called with some flavor, it's finally gonna print this statement. Here is your chocolate ice cream. So like this, it follows some sequence. Like here, the base function is this one. Inside this base function, we have this statement. So above this statement, we want to. So above this statement or above this flavored ice cream, we are adding some extra toppings that include sprinkles as well as choco chips. So like this, We can make use of decorators in Python whenever we want to add some extra functionalities to the base function. So this is all about decorators in Python, along with syntax, as well as some examples that includes passing parameters as well as passing without parameters. So that's all for today. I hope you like this session. If you have any doubts, feel free to post them in the comment section. We'll definitely answer your questions, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care, goodbye, and enjoy programming.